It's you and me in this mess hall and your beautiful brown eyes. Hey, I'm Derek.
And I'm Noah. And you're listening to A Bite Of,
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
That's what we do.
We're currently doing The Mandalorian, as you've been listening to this past season, and we are at the penultimate episode.
I love that word, penultimate.
Yeah, so things are getting crazy and dicey. But before we get into this episode of The Mandalorian, we'd like to do a little housekeeping stuff. Just to remind you guys, we are still doing that review giveaway. We like to do it until the end of 2020. Make your end of year better than it has been just by giving you some free stuff, maybe some gift cards and some free little swags. So all you got to do is just give us a review on Apple Podcasts. We might do some other ones later on where it's not just Apple Podcasts because we know that not everybody listens to us on there. So we don't want to exclude everybody. But you go in there, leave the review. If you already have, you can leave another one. And we're picking them every week. But just to let you know, our current one, because we know not everybody follows us on social media, and we've run into people not knowing that they were picked because they only listen to us on here.
Yeah.
So if your name on Apple Podcasts, when you leave the review, is Making the Yuletide Gay, you won.
Yay!
So please contact us before Wednesday. That way we can get you your stuff out promptly and we don't have to redraw.
Applause noises? Mm-hmm. Applause noises?
Yeah, we don't have that sound effect. So
you can't put it in in post.
I don't have the sound effect. All right, so that's the housekeeping stuff. So let's recap what happened in the last episode of The Mandalorian before we talk about this current one.
I've spent a week trying to get over this and put it in the past, and now we have to bring it up again.
Yeah.
But last week's episode was called The Tragedy.
And there was multiple tragedies in that one.
So many tragedies. We lost the Razor Crest. We lost sight of Grogu.
Yeah, he got kidnapped. So The whole point of that episode was to take him to Tython to communicate with hopefully a Jedi that can train him, because Ahsoka can't or doesn't want to or can't handle training him.
No, thank you. I'm busy.
Right. So he puts him on there. Grogu's doing his Force thing, and Imperial guys come. Moff Gideon gets the upper hand, kidnaps Grogu, and Mando, Fennec, and Boba go to Kara because they need to get Mayfeld out of prison to help him, because he's the only Imperial person that they know that can track Moff Gideon. So.
Yep. And of course, when it comes to the baby, everybody is willing to break all the rules because Kara's like, let's do this.
Even a New Republic Marshal is like, oh, hell no.
Not Grogu.
So that brings us to our current episode.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! We're going to be spoiling things. So, alert! Done.
Yeah. If you haven't watched the episode yet, go watch it and then come back and listen to us and join us in the conversation.
Let us take a bite of The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 15, The Believer.
I had no idea what this title meant.
And then I saw her face. Dun, 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 dun. Now I'm a believer.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. So immediately when this episode opens, we don't get a cute scene with Grogu and Mando and the Razor Crest.
No.
It already felt different and wrong, and I don't appreciate it.
It's like we're used to opening with the most gorgeous green Grogu on Earth, but instead we are here on, I don't know, Trash Planet.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they did say where he's from or what planet we're on right now.
Right.
Yeah. So it opens up to this great junkyard,
scrapyard.
Yeah, something like that. And obviously, all these prisoners are getting, I guess, viable scraps to then be put somewhere. No idea what's happening.
This is like the galaxy's version of making people pick up trash on the side of the road.
Yeah, community service in a way, but you have a jumpsuit with colorful buttons on them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a robot saying inmate 34667 about 10 million times. And it turns out to be Mayfeld, played by Bill Burr. So every time I hear his name, I'm like, Aaron Burr, sir, from Hamilton.
Yes.
Just reminds me. Are they related? Aaron Burr and Bill Burr.
A long line of American history has ended up here in The Mandalorian.
Boo.
I can tell you this, though. Bill Burr was in an episode of The Chef Show with Jon Favreau.
I hate you. So if this is the first time you're tuning in, obviously Jon Favreau, the guy that did The Mandalorian, made the movie The Chef, and also had a spin-off show called The Chef Show, and he's had everybody that he's worked with in Marvel and The Mandalorian on that show.
Yeah, in that episode that Bill Burr is on, Gwyneth Paltrow's the first segment.
Ew.
Yeah. Pepper and
Potts.
And then it's Bill Burr, good old Mayfeld.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, so the last time we saw him was in The Prisoner in the first season. I believe it was episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously been in prison since then. Cara Dune goes there to pick him up because they need him to track Moff Gideon. So obviously he's very apprehensive at first. He's like, where are you guys taking me?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And the droid's gonna zap him with a freaking electric prodder. And he's like, okay.
Right. So he gets introduced to Fennec Shand and Boba Fett, and he's like, oh, I thought you were somebody else. And then obviously Mando comes out.
And could we just take a minute to on this journey to come get Mayfeld out of Trash Island? Boba Fett has taken time to sand down the armor, repaint it. He's looking fresh.
I mean, he was on Navarro. There might have been some Mandalorian spray paint cans lying around.
I picture him having just been stowing away these paints in Slave One, being like, someday I will be able to use you. And that was the first thing he did was repaint it.
I'm glad that Boba is like, you know what? I need to look fresh. We're about to go save this kid. While Mando's talking to Cara, I'm just going to go paint my stuff real quick.
Exactly.
It's super funny. So Mayfeld, he gets roped in. He gets pretty much told what the plan is. And it's funny, every single time they have the kid, everybody's like, oh, okay. I'll help now. It's fine. I got it.
Not the kid. So they all get together on the ship. And one of the coolest things here is that we see Slave One taking off, and you can actually see the inner workings of the mechanisms as it shifts from horizontal to vertical.
It's like some weird gyro sphere thing. I don't know how it works, but it's cool.
It's pretty cool.
It kind of makes me sick. Every single time it would take off, it was like, what's moving and what's not.
Meanwhile, Boba goes from fully laying flat to sitting up, and he's just used to it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I love it. So they tell him that they need to track Moff Gideon, and Mayfeld tells them the only way I can do that is from an internal Imperial terminal. I guess there's just these terminals lying around at every base. But also sucks because they just blew one up on Navarro. They could have just went there.
Oh, that's such a good point.
And did that, but, you had to blow it up.
That's not the way of The Mandalorian, the series. Okay, nothing is on the planet that you're currently on. You have to travel. Mm-hmm. And my question is there some sort of Imperial Foursquare where you check into places and, you're the leader of the cruiser? It's just this is where the coordinates of all the ships are.
I think they're all tracked, though, because, they have to... There's logs and stuff. I don't know.
and just the random ATM around the corner.
You need the data stick.
If you don't have the data stick.
So weird.
Oh, the data stick. Is that the data stick from the other episode? Or is it a different data stick?
I don't know.
Or a data stick's just USBs and everybody has one at the bottom of their bag.
Well, if you need it to access the terminal, I'm sure everybody has one. So it is interesting because you say Mayfeld. He's like, okay, well, I'll help, but I need to be let go. And Cara's like, no.
Yeah, they're like, you get a better view.
I don't know what that means.
That's your payment. Of the world, not a trash heap?
Not Trash Island, I guess. So whatever. I mean, we know how it turns out, but it's reasonable for him to ask. I mean, they want him to go into Imperial territory and get information where he's not supposed to be. So
you also have a lot of nerve, Mayfeld. These people could murder you real quick. There's 4 of them and they're pretty fantastic as a crew, or independently. So watch your step.
Yeah. He, after they tell him that they have the kid, he divulges the information that on Morak, there's a mining facility that I can use.
Secret Imperial mining facility.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we also find out that the reason why it's there is they're mining Rhydonium.
I immediately thought of Rhydon, the Pokemon. which it is not related to at all. Different universes, but I mean, close enough.
And in this episode, we actually see them get to point A to point B very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mishaps or pit stops or anything. So like these last couple episodes are really speeding it up a little bit.
Yeah, they're like, we got places to go in this thing. And Morak turns out to be, upon first glance, a lush valley. It's lovely. And so the crew lands and they have to come up with a plan of how they're getting into the refinery.
Yeah, and I believe their plan that they come up with is Boba's going to be in Slave One, and he's going to pick them up.
Yep, he's going to lift them out of there.
Right, but they tell him, well, there's anti-flight cannons at the top. So Fennec's like, I gotcha. But they also argue with, they can't just send Mayfeld by himself to go. Because one, he's a prisoner.
They don't trust him.
Yeah, he could easily run away. But also he tells them, well, you guys can't go because there's face scanners. They will know, like, if you're on any type of record, if you have a warrant out there, they will find you and they will know. So Fennec's like, nah, I'm wanted.
Yeah.
Obviously, Boba Fett's like, nah, I have to fly this ship. I guess he doesn't really say why he can't go.
He's like, let's just say I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Obviously, Kara can't because she is a New Republic marshal.
She got them stripes.
Exactly. And that leaves Mando, which Mando seems to not want to do it at first because I think he knows that he can't have his armor on. But he decides to anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then the plan is they're going to hijack one of these transport vehicles.
These juggernauts.
Yep. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They call them juggernauts.
Oh, that's right. Juggernaut 3. Now it makes sense. And then they're going to, punch out these stormtrooper guys who are really like minor troopers, or I don't know what they are. And they're going to
transport crew trooper, I guess.
Transport troopers.
Yeah.
And they're going to, obviously wear their uniforms, which have helmets so they can sneak in. And then Mando doesn't have to show his face.
Yeah, they can't just walk in with what they look like. He can't walk in as a Mandalorian. They need to hijack one of these juggernauts to get into the facility. Makes sense.
The juggernauts look very much like the preschool toy Caterpillars.
They do.
Right?
They do. They very much do.
Learning while transporting Rhydonium. Play school.
Well, it's a little more, high stakes than that.
You're right. True.
Yeah, we get to see this scene when they hijack the juggernaut. Cardoon gets in there and she elbows them in the face and then smacks them together. And then Mando changes out of his Mandalorian gear and into the Stormtrooper gear. And Mayfeld kind of like makes fun of him. He's like, oh, how's that fit?
Yeah. And then Cara Dune goes, wish I could say it looked good on you, but I'd be lying.
Shaming.
Rude.
Armor shaming.
How dare. Body dysmorphia is a real thing, even in the galaxy. We don't need this type of talk.
Yeah. I mean, I bet Mando is just super uncomfortable, but he is going to lengths that he needs to get his kid back. And I appreciate it. I'm glad he's actually doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He leaves his armor with cars, like, take good care of this.
Mm-hmm. So the two of them, Mayfeld and Mando, they get in. Mayfeld is driving, Mando's in the passenger seat. They're both wearing their helmets. And, we get the first shot of this meter that's in there, and it's at green. And we learn that Rhydonium is volatile. It's very sensitive. So they have to make sure that this meter is always in the green. Otherwise, things can go badly, AKA they could explode. Mm-hmm. And they have to go a certain speed. They can't hit too many bumps. And then they have this long conversation, right? Mayfeld takes his helmet off, and they're kind of talking about, it's very sort of philosophical.
Well, more Mayfeld's talking.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just jabbering on. And maybe because he hasn't had anybody to talk to, and also because him and Mando used to be foes. Mm-hmm. So he's I feel like he's kind of poking him a little bit. And Mando's just like, okay, man, stop talking to me.
It's very much you think your war is correct, but they think their war is correct. And these people died on your watch and they died on your watch. Which one's right? Who's right? Everybody's just trying to survive.
Yeah, he makes that point of well, these people in here believe this thing. These people in here believe this thing. Well, of course, both sides believe they're right. And there wouldn't be a war if that isn't what happened.
Yeah. And I think kind of talking about the lengths that Mando is going to, he says something, Mayfeld says something to the effect of, your rules start to change when you get desperate. Either you can't take off your Mando helmet or you can't show your face. Mm-hmm. Which is it? And again, that's him poking and prodding him. But I think the point of it is maybe for me as the viewer is saying no matter which of those it is, for Mando right now, it doesn't matter because he has something that he needs to do and he needs to get Grogu back.
Yeah, I mean, old habits die hard, and old cult ways, I guess, are, really interesting to stop.
They're kind of ingrained into you, if you've been there for 20, 30 years.
Your whole life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to these lengths, and He does say that thing. It's like when, you'll change your ways if you're desperate enough. Obviously, that's what Mando's doing.
Mhm.
Like, he's completely gone off course. And also, I think a part of him realizes that, like, I guess not all Mandalorians need to keep their helmets on and everything.
Yeah.
There is another way to do this, but there is no other way he can go except for going the current course he's on. So as they're driving through the native lands of Morak, they do go through this village, and it's interesting to see Mayfeld says this thing about, to us, we're just invaders.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what side you're on. And it's a really interesting thing. And I like these types of things in these shows of Star Wars, because we don't just see the good guys going and blowing up stormtroopers on a planet in a mining facility. That's all we would normally get.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're seeing like, oh, but even if it was rebels or if it was imperial people, you're still on native people's land.
100%.
You're still fucking it up.
Yeah.
So they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, great if you liberate them, but also then leave.
It feels sort of like Avengers, right? Where it's like have that giant fight and they destroy all of Manhattan. And then it's like, yeah, that was a big deal. You destroyed Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's that thing of like, we always see the action, but what really happens to the people on it. And it really helps to, color the world that they're living in, see the destruction that happens because of these wars.
On this, continuing on their journey. And I do like the vehicle, and it makes sense because it needs a lot of wheels to balance and have, that way the Rhydonium isn't sloshing around in the back and exploding.
Yeah.
Over the comms that they have, they hear that other juggernauts are being, invaded and blown up, and you can see it in the distance being blown up. And Mayfeld's like, okay, I did not sign up for this stuff. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, and the voice is like, Juggernaut, reroute. And he's like, what do you mean reroute? This is crazy.
Yeah, they're like, proceed with caution. What do you mean?
I thought I was doing that.
Right. So come to find out there's pirates on these like weird speeding platforms. And I've never seen these types of species before in Star Wars. I'm sure somebody knows what they are, but they're either destroying the things carrying the Rhydonium or salvaging things after, but they call them pirates.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's like, oh, they're going to steal the Rhydonium, but then they're using the Rhydonium to blow it up.
Right. So it's not clear like what they're actually doing, but
what do you guys want?
They are the foes right now
Indeed.
to Mando and Mayfeld. So as Mayfeld's trying to keep them from not blowing up and having these guys blowing them up with grenades, Mando has to go on the roof of it and defend the whole thing. So there's a super cool long action sequence of him using a shitty Imperial blaster that apparently just runs out of bullets.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Or blasters or batteries.
Lasers. Zorpers.
I think they're battery packs. I don't know.
I was mystified to see this thing, and it even makes a clicking trigger sound, and then he's like, okay, well, this is useless to me, so he chucks it off.
He throws it at them. Yeah, it doesn't work, so he's just like, yeah.
And he's like using everything he can, right? He's like throwing people off the thing. He's chucking blasters at them. They're throwing spears at him. He's grabbing the spears. He's throwing it back at them. He's hitting them. He's like,
It's interesting. You see him like fighting how he would normally fight, and his armor's breaking off because it's shitty Stormtrooper first issued armor that obviously can't withstand even a wooden spear hitting it. So it's interesting to see him, adjusting to how he's supposed to fight, because then he starts using his body more and not necessarily blocking. I thought that was a really cool thing that they did.
He said, like, judo time. Yeah. I'm gonna flip y'all all over the place.
He defeats like, what is it? Like 3 of those like platform pirates?
Yeah.
And then more just keep coming.
They do not stop.
No, and Mayfeld's like, oh, okay, Mayfeld. I keep saying Field because that's what I thought it was. It's Mayfeld. Whatever, Migs. I should just call him by his first name, Migs.
Not to be confused with Mags, R.I.P., Hunger Games. Oh.
Okay, well, why would you bring that up? So he decides to go faster. It's not great for the Rhydonium, so he has to slow down, which makes other platform pirates get closer to him, so more action ensues.
I want to know about the intercom systems on these juggernauts, right? So you have Mando on top of the juggernaut fighting his buns off, right? There's Migs driving the juggernaut, lightly yelling, just like, hey, Mando, what's up? And they're just talking to each other perfectly fine. So in my mind, what happens is when you step into a vehicle, you can make your helmet intercom connect to the vehicle intercom. So if the driver is talking to you and you're somewhere else in the vehicle, they can hear you.
I mean,
otherwise it doesn't make sense.
I mean, maybe. Whenever in the first episode of the season, when Cobb Vanth and Mando were both on those speed bikes, clearly going like 300 miles an hour, they were easily able to talk to each other, and there was no wind problem whatsoever.
There's just a really intricate QR code system that we don't know about that they scan and then they're fine.
This is the future we're heading to.
Thank you. We just invented it. Thanks.
So as more platform pirates, I'm just going to keep calling them that.
Platform pirates.
Get closer to them. It looks like shit's going to go bad because they're placing bombs on the thing.
Guys.
All like 5 of the new ones that come out already arm their grenades. It's like, that's not good. And then you hear the TIE fighter scream. Close enough. And so even Mayfeld says, thought you would never be happy to see, Imperial troopers, have you?
Yeah.
Well, no, of course not. But good thing they came and saved them from these platform pirates.
It's an awkward moment.
Right.
Thanks for saving us, enemy.
Yeah. I want to kill you. Bye.
Bye. Salute.
So they make it to the base.
Yeah.
Finally. And they're greeted with a welcome party of all these stormtroopers praising them.
Slam. They're a party. Yeah.
And into the lion's den they go. Because it must be, I just can't imagine what Mando's like feeling right now. Like Mayfeld, he's been there, done that. He's an ex-Imperial, whatever. But Mando is like, I hate these people. I don't have my comfort armor. I don't have my kid.
A security blanket.
Yeah.
And this place must reek. There's people.
I mean, their armor reeks.
Right?
Yeah.
The armor reeks. They're all walking around in their armor head to toe. There's like tons of them in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's smoky. Oh my God. What a terrible time. What a terrible time.
I mean, these places aren't known for their luxury.
That's true. And this particular place is made up of, one giant room and a mess hall.
Yes. One giant room and just the officer's mess hall. Because as soon as they get there, Mayfeld's like, oh, the terminal's probably in the officer mess.
Welcome to the staff lounge.
Yeah, they all have their own things. So they spot it. They get there and immediately they're like, okay, we need to find this terminal and get out. Well, they were apparently heroes of the day, so they're going to draw attention. As soon as they walk into the officer mess hall, Mayfeld like steps back. He's like, no. That guy I was under his command. He's going to notice me. So we have this interesting exchange where like Mando's like, you'll be fine. Just go do it.
Yeah.
He even asked him, he's like, is he going to notice you? He's like, I don't know, maybe. Just go do it, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But Mando is like, I'll do it. But Mayfeld tells him, you're going to have to take off your helmet. It has to scan your face. And Mando still does it. So he is at this point like, I am going to do everything I possibly... He's John Wicking it right now, where nothing else matters except for getting to where he needs to go.
Heck yeah.
So he gets that data stick. He goes to the terminal. He tries to access it with his helmet on, which I have to say, okay, I get it. Like, was Mayfeld right? Did you need to scan your face? But that draws the attention of the officer sitting in the room.
Yeah. Sniveling duty face.
Is that...
Hate this guy.
Is that what you're calling him?
Yeah. He has such a sniveling, evil man duty face. And he's like, officer. And Mando's like, good. So Mando has to make the decision because the thing is that the terminal scans him and it's like, like protocol warning, gonna explode. And he's like, ugh. So he takes his helmet off. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And then it scans his face and, Duty Snivel Face starts walking over.
Valen Hess.
Valen Hess starts walking over. Friggin' Mando puts the data stick in there. It's just about time. And, okay. He gets it. He whips it out and he's like, who are you?
The voices you're doing right now. You did like a sniveling voice for Valen, but now he has this weird creepy voice.
I keep trying to make like the shape of his mouth, which seems like sort of like, and he's also kind of Southern. Doesn't he like end up doing like a Southern thing? He
sounds almost like Matthew McConaughey, just a tiddly bit.
Oh, sure. So. All right.
No.
Hey, trooper.
No, this guy is creepy. Hess is creepy. Like, kudos to him for this actor for making this dude creepy. So he comes up to him and he starts interrogating him. He's like, what's your TK number? Where are you from? What do you do? And poor Mando's like, I transport things.
Yeah. I love that Mando can take on a full army of pirates, no sweat. And then one guy comes up to him and he's like, and for me, it's like hilarious, but at the same time, it's like, he's just an honorable dude. He's like, I'm not good at lying. I don't know about the lying.
Yeah.
I can blow up 1 million people no problem, thinking on my feet. But if you come up to me and ask me a question, I'm going to panic. Also, my helmet's off. I feel a breeze. This place is disgusting. What's happening?
Everybody can see my mustache now. I mean,
ooh,
I'm all for him having a mustache. Like, he has to feel pretty inside of his armor. Like, if he wants a mustache, he can have a mustache.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah.
Whatever gives you the confidence to do your Mandalorian duties, you rock that.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it's a beautiful mustache.
Yeah. And also, like, that's Pedro Pascal's, like, signature mustache. So it's like, my face is going to be covered most of this time, so it doesn't matter what I look like underneath this thing. So, I mean, that's right. He has to lie, which I don't think he's even used to doing, let alone how do I situate my face to convey that I know what I'm talking about? Because now people can see my face. And people usually don't see my face.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So this whole situation is just, he is completely in uncharted territory. Yeah. But good thing, Mayfeld comes up and he's like, oh, his hearing's bad. Like, I can tell you everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. Thankfully. Like, thank God Mayfeld comes in there and does that.
And in this next scene that happens, Mando really doesn't do any talking. Any question that's asked of him, Mayfeld kind of jumps in and answers for him,
which is
good. Pretty stellar.
Yeah, it's good. I did notice something, and I don't want to sound like I'm looking too much into it, but this is really the first time we're seeing Mando for an extended period of time without his helmet. And the way he moves his body and his head, it's almost as if he still has the helmet on. Like, he's not really using his peripherals or turning his head like a normal person. Like, when he turns towards Mayfeld, he turns his whole body. So his whole body's facing him. And then the same thing with Hess. Mm-hmm. So I think it's super interesting that he's still...
But I think you make a really good point, though. And I even think probably as Pedro Pascal is the actor, right? So maybe that was a choice that they made, that when he takes his helmet off, he's still going to move like that. But when Pedro's playing this part, I don't think he has the peripheral vision because of the helmet. So even... Pedro's doing it normally, and that's how he's working when he doesn't have the helmet on. It was just a good choice all around.
Yeah. I was like, am I reading too much into this? Probably, but that's what this podcast is for, so that way you guys can hear me looking too much into this. So we have this really interesting conversation. So it turns out that Mayfeld did serve under this guy, Valen Hess. And we can see Mayfeld starting to get a little touchy. This guy Hess is super creepy, and he starts talking about the Empire and how great they are. And Mayfeld brings up Project Cinder. I'm actually going to be talking about that at the very end of the episode in the Galaxy Guide, so that's a spoiler for later. So if you want to know more about that, stick around till later. So he brings it up, and this Hess guy is like, oh yeah, I loved Project Cinder. Project Cinder is great. We did so many great things for the Empire. And Mayfeld's like, yeah, so all of those people that died was cool. Were they heroes? Do you think that they're happy that they died? For what?
Right.
What's the reason? And it's just really pushing his buttons here. It seems like this is what Mayfeld's been like. This is his thing that is not okay with him.
Yeah. And I think that's what he's been working through himself, even throughout this episode when they were having those conversations about what's right, what's wrong, what do you do? I think he's been dealing with all this crap because dude's been in prison, dude's been picking apart junk. He's probably had a lot of time to think about stuff and look at his own past and be like, what was really going on there? And that's something that I always think about. And I think we've talked about this a little bit. It's like when you see these scenes with all these stormtroopers, it's like, why are these... who are these people?
Did they have a choice?
Why are they there? Do they even realize what the bigger picture is and what's happening around them? But I think that that's the thing with Mayfeld, is that he was once in that position and now he gets to think, what the hell did I do?
Yeah. And I'm sure he's all from his time there that these people don't fucking care. They don't give a shit about this.
Right.
What are you fighting for? And all this guy Hess can do is just suck on the teat of the Empire.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
This turd gets to drink milky white crap at some commissary place and just make people's lives miserable.
Yeah, I mean, that's all they're doing. It just seems like what those officers do. If they're not getting choked out by Vader, then that's what they're doing. They're just bossing little pawns around. This whole conversation, it's just pressing and pressing on Mayfeld. And as soon as Hess puts up a glass and he's like, to the Empire, Mayfeld's like, oh, fuck you, man, and just shoots him. In the middle of an Imperial base, in the middle of an officer mess hall.
Right.
And Mando just looks at him like, okay, we're doing this, I guess.
Mando had tried to give him the silent head shake, no, man. Don't. But he did it
Just
anyway.
Like, press it down, compartmentalize, you're fine.
And then this one shore trooper guy just has like his little like mess hall plate and cup, and he's like,
and then gets shot.
And then he gets shot.
Like Mayfeld turns around, Mando turns around, they start shooting everybody because now it's about to go down. While the whole time, Fennec and Cara are up on this ledge overlooking the whole facility, and they're like, okay, we're going to take down the anti-air cannons, and then we'll cover them. What's taking them so long? Come on, guys. But I think it is interesting that Fennec is like, I'm a good shot. Let me take the air cannons. And also, because Fennec doesn't really do anything else in this episode, we only see her like 3 times, I just want to say that the actress that plays her is 57 years old.
Ming-Na Wen?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And when I age, I don't care. I don't care about that. But when I see an actress like this literally jumping backwards off of boulders and doing a graceful like pose while shooting, stormtroopers, and also looks as good as she is, I don't understand genetics at this point.
Just tiny sidebar. I was obsessed with Ming-Na Wen. Like when I was younger, she was in ER and she was amazing. And then she was also the voice of Mulan.
Yep.
She's incredible. And I love seeing her in this. And on top of that, she's a mother effing badass too. Yeah. I mean, just, seeing Cara, who's a badass, and Fennec, who's a badass, up there with these giant blasters, it's just mwah.
While Boba's sitting in his
laying down, waiting to take off.
Listening to the newest Arcade Fire album or something.
Yes, getting hyped. He's ready. Let's go.
But I love these characters that have been brought to us in this, and this like Grogu rescue squad that's forming, because they're also interesting and they're also different, but they all bring certain strengths to it. And that's why Fennec's like, I'm the better shot, so I'll take care of this.
I cannot believe that Disney did not announce Grogu Rescue Squad as a spin-off series. We need that.
Well, I hope they don't, because that means that Grogu needs more rescuing.
Grogu Rescue Squad. Maybe he's leading it.
No.
All right.
Maybe.
I just love that title.
I just miss him.
I don't want to get into it, okay? Because whatever.
So as they are about to leave this area before more stormtroopers come in, Mayfeld hands him a helmet. And he's like, here, put it on. I didn't see your face. You did the right thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Mayfeld, Mando, brown eyes.
So, we're all just humanoids in a Star Wars universe.
We have to talk about brown eyes for a second, because not only is it adorable and super cute for Mando to have another nickname, but Mayfeld literally saw him for 2 seconds and looked at him intently enough to be like, he has brown eyes, and I like that. Like, he's giving him that wink wink.
It's you and me in this mess hall and your beautiful brown eyes.
I thought it was super funny. So anyway, he puts the helmet on. It was a super sweet moment, and I like this growth from Mayfeld that we're seeing, because it was a little iffy the first time we saw him, where we left off with him, and now it's like, oh, are you going to be joining this crew? Please.
Your boy needed this. This was his therapy session. He needed it to happen. And, looking back as to why he didn't want to go into the mess hall, it almost felt like fear of seeing this person that sort of ruined his life and maybe killed hundreds, yet thousands of his friends.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Let's go.
Like, I get why he didn't want to see him. Not only because it might ruin the mission, but you're right. Like, it's just somebody that he's just like, I can't do this right now. Like, I wasn't prepared to face my biggest demon.
Exactly. That man represents everything.
Exactly.
Everything that has been just crushing him.
Yeah. So they make their daring escape out of the window on this ledge with a huge drop off, and Fennec and Cara are shooting guys, covering them. They get to the roof, and Boba gets up there, saves them. They get out. Super cool. But Mayfeld's like, wait, give me that rifle real quick. Shoots a canister of Rhydonium, explodes the whole base. So hopefully they don't need another terminal, because I only think there's far and few between at this point.
Too late. Now they know. They're going to scan his face. They know what his face looks like. Nobody else can do it now. It's bad. They've ruined it.
As they're leaving, as Slave One's leaving, more TIE fighters come after them. And then Boba, his ever-expanding arsenal of amazing weaponry and bombs, has these Boba boom bombs.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called, but I know we've seen them before. It releases from the back and it explodes right where the TIE fighters are, but the radius of it just slices them in half.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
It was like one of the coolest weapons I've seen in the show so far.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then like Cara and Fennec like dab underneath it, and you're like, Yeah, boy. Yeah.
I love it.
It was prettybomb.com.
Bubabomb.com. So they did it. They got what they needed. Now the question is, what do they do with Mayfeld? Because he's a prisoner.
He was like bad, but then like he did something good. And like they kind of like him now, but he's still bad. So what happens? Because these stripes don't lie. But what if they do? And like maybe it's fine.
Whose stripes?
Cara Dune's.
Oh. It's like, who?
Her martial stripes.
So they have a conversation and Cara does the right thing and she's like, oh, it sucks that Mayfeld died in an explosion, huh, Mando? So they let him go, which is super cool. But I don't feel like this is the last time we'll see Mayfeld or Bill Burr because it left off on like, there's more to him and he came back.
Yeah.
You know, like, where is he going? He's on Morak now, but is that where he stays?
And it's a very, sort of non-committal exit of him.
Right.
He's just kind of like wandering off into
bye.
this forest.
Right.
That's it. So they're like, well, what do we do now?
We'll get Grogu back. Duh, there's only one episode left, so you need to get Grogu back. The next scene we see, we get back on Moff's ship, and Mando sends him this like Liam Neeson, I will find you and I will kill you hologram. Pretty much telling him like, the kid means more to me than you will ever know.
Crush my heart, make me cry. Mando, how dare you? Oh my God.
But I mean, that's letting Moff know that he's coming for him and that he knows where he is.
That's like a bold move, right? Because you would think that you would want to like stealthily go in there.
With the four of you.
Right. Don't let anybody know that you're going to be coming up on this giant cruiser. But he's like, hey, guess what, Moff? I'm here and I know what's up, bitch. I'm coming for you. And Moff is like...
Well, he didn't seem scared. He seemed like, okay, bring it.
I thought that this cutaway scene was going to be of our little angel baby Grogu doing something. But guess what? There was absolutely no Grogu in this entire episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, this is the first episode of the 15 episodes we've had of The Mandalorian where Grogu has not been in it. Very first one. And it felt like you can feel it. Like, I think it was intentional that they did that. Like, they did not... Well, one, I'm glad they didn't show him being tortured or being held captive anymore. But it was weird. Like, I don't know if, like, their intention later on is, like, with all these new shows that were just recently announced with Disney Investor Day, like, is Grogu going to go on one of those? Because I don't know how I feel about The Mandalorian without Grogu. Before, I was okay with him maybe, like, sending him off. But now, I don't know.
No, it's like they're peanut butter and jelly. Okay? You don't want them by themselves on a sandwich. You want them together.
I was like, but they are by themselves on a sandwich. But I guess when you put the sandwich together.
Right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. They're two ingredients of a sandwich. The sandwich being the Mandalorian.
I don't know what a sandwich is. Anyway.
What a sandwich
is. So I'm super interested to see.
Yeah. Part of me feels like they wanted to torture us. Wait, what? Yeah. My Valentino white bag?
The stumbling of that definitely reminded me of that line.
But they wanted us to feel the absence of Grogu, just like Mando is feeling it. And guess what? It worked.
Well, I don't need it. I mean, we've had a tough 2020 already, and I have a feeling that my prediction for this last one, I hope more people are helping them, which I would hope, because for him to be so ballsy to be like, Moff, I'm coming for you. I obviously know where you are because I knew where to send this message.
Yeah.
That he has like a whole Grogu rescue squad behind him.
Rally the troops.
But I hope we get Grogu back in the next episode because I don't know if I can wait an entire year to know if Grogu comes back or not.
Then I will need them to release a montage of all Grogu's greatest hits. Adorable cooing and flying and eating of macarons.
Maybe, we could just do that.
Okay, well, we should. Because I will need to watch it if they don't give us more Grogu.
I mean, if you guys want to leave us your theories on what you think is going to happen, what you've thought so far of this season of The Mandalorian, go to our website. We have a voicemail feature on there.
Yes.
And just let us know. We'll put it on the podcast and talk about it.
abiteofpod.com. And also, you guys listen to our voices a lot. I want to hear your voice.
That's true. I want to know what you guys sound like.
Guys?
Like, I'm just speaking to
me.
You, but like nobody. Like, we're speaking to nobody, even though there are people listening.
The ether. So, it is that time to go into our special segment, Galaxy Guide.
Okay, that's like one guide too many. Okay, like 5 guides too many at this point. So for Galaxy Guide this time, it's my turn, and there really wasn't much like pertaining to this episode because we like to take something from the current episode and maybe expand on it a little bit. But I wanted to talk about Rhydonium and Project Cinder because Project Cinder sounded really familiar to me. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's where it was from. So if you've ever played Battlefront 2, which is an EA Star Wars game, you know what Project Cinder is because that's the whole driving force for the entire game.
I'll tell you what, I've never played it.
Well, I'm going to learn you.
Thank you for learning me.
You're welcome. But no fault if you haven't played it because it's a video game and not everybody plays video games. Let alone this one that wanted to charge you for everything, and I stopped playing it. But the story mode was great.
Secret's out.
So Operation Cinder was more or less Emperor Sheev Palpatine's spiteful dying wish for revenge following the Battle of Endor, aka the end of Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, the original trilogy. It's like, think of it as, in case Emperor dies, break glass. So this is like that operation. And Project Cinder was behind that glass. So Cinder wasn't your usual military campaign. What it really was a terror operation that targeted several key locations, including Naboo. So that's one that most Star Wars fans will know. So pretty much a lot of the planets were indiscriminately targeted, and the main like protagonists and main people in the story, one of their planets was that planet.
Gotcha.
So that was a driving force for Battlefront 2. So, but to bring it into Mayfeld's and why that relates to him. So you can see that his anger obviously is increasing at the table with Officer Hess. And when he brings up Operation Cinder, that's the thing that he's really been holding. So just to let you know what Operation Cinder was, it included a wholesale execution of many Imperial soldiers by their own military's weapons.
Yikes.
So they all turned the guns on them also. So
despicable, basically. Disgusting.
Right. So that's, of course, he would be pissed off at that and make him question, like, what am I doing here? Death of comrades, terrorist attack, innocent civilians. All of this was brought up in this episode, and it all related back to Operation Cinder. So I thought it would be nice to explain what that was because we got none of that
what
really.
Stoked this fire in Mayfeld?
So Rhydonium, there's like nothing.
Tell me more.
Nothing. There's almost nothing on Rhydonium, but there are some things on it. So looking at various wikis and Star Wars encyclopedias, there's very little on it. All you need to know is it's volatile starship fuel.
Oh.
That can be found in like 4 locations. Abafar, Morak, which we were just on, Saracor, and Trolagaria. Tralgaria. Exactly. It's the Italian planet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Rhydonium.
So it's a fuel source. And
got it.
They're on these people's planets getting fuel sources. I mean, it's not like we haven't gone to war for oil.
Yeesh.
Yikes. So obviously it's in a galaxy far, far away as well. And to give you more of what Rhydonium looks like, so when it's poured out, Rhydonium is said to look like spilled chrome.
Ooh.
So probably like mercury in a way.
Metallic.
So exactly. So it's shiny. But you can't really touch it because it's very dangerous when it's touched. And obviously it's very volatile. So this stuff is like no joke, but that's what powers the starships. So
maybe blasters too.
And definitely not blasters because he chucked it. So I mean, it would have exploded. But also as an added bonus, Jabba was known to mine this as well. So there you go.
All right.
It connects.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Really
so
appreciate it.
Last episode is the last episode of the season.
Where is the baby?
Yeah. Where is he and is he going to be safe? Is he going to get it? Is Ahsoka going to help him?
They already start taking blood from him. What's happening?
Yeah. I mean, Derek brought up a good point earlier when we were talking. Bo-Katan is still looking for him. So hopefully either Mando is still in contact with her or she's just going to be that like shining knight that comes at the end and saves him whenever he needed it most. Like the whole Mandalore army, whatever's left of it helps him.
Yeah. He sent her a text message. Yo, Bo. Know where that dark saber at? You coming?
Meet me here.
She
Drops
was like,
pin.
TTYL. Yeah.
Super excited to see where it goes. So I'll see you guys next week.
Ooh, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to A Bite of. Artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at A Bite of Pod and on Facebook at A Bite of. If you have questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can email us at abiteofpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate and review to spread the word. Hope you join us next time on A Bite Of. Bye.